Hello, my name is Charlie Blair Elephant and you're watching the Ardblair Stones YouTube channel. I'm going to talk about the first person to load all 9 of the Ardblair Stones and how that came about. Obviously it's a significant thing because if you're the first person to do something ever, I mean irrespective of the time or whatever it is, if you're the first person to do it, it's a great thing. And as far as the sort of the history of the Ardblair Stones goes, it's a significant event to happen. So I was beginning to wonder at this stage whether it was actually possible to lift this 9th stone. I mean, the 9th Ardblair stone is 152 kilograms, which is 335 pounds, which to accomplished stone lifters might not seem perhaps like that much. But when you consider the fact that there's absolutely no tacky and there's no grip aids, there's no sleeves, you can't, it's very raw and a weight belt's acceptable, but it's a different sort of lift. It requires considerably more strength, I would say, to lift a stone without tacky. Obviously, at this point, I'm looking at my notes here, but by 2013, the 9th stone hadn't been lifted. So the next obvious thing was for somebody to lift the 9th stone. That was the next thing. It was like, who's going to lift this 9th stone? How are we going to do it? And Peter Martin, I was having this discussion with him, and we were discussing who could lift this 9th stone. I mean, who could do it? And Peter Martin suggested Andrew Cairney. Now, Andrew Cairney is a highly regarded, he started off in strongman, and then following a rather unpleasant accident with his knees, moved into powerlifting and became a world champion in powerlifting. And he's a fairly well regarded and respected powerlifter, as well as a known enthusiast for the historic stones. And so Peter Martin assured me, yes, Andrew Cairney, he will lift all 9 stones, he will do it. And so I thought, well, it'd be fantastic to invite him to the 2014 Highland Games. At this stage, I was only doing 1 Highland Games because it was early days for the Ardblair Stones. So again, we're talking about Blairgowrie Rattree Highland Games, and I thought, well, let's find out a bit more about this gentleman. So I looked up some of his accomplishments on YouTube, and I was pretty amazed. 190 kilogram stone lift to his shoulder. 190 kilogram. Watching somebody do that, you'd think that the 152 kilogram shouldn't really sort of be too much of a problem. Set about and sent him a message. Now, obviously, we weren't friends at this stage. We didn't particularly know each other. I mean, Andrew hadn't heard of the Ardblair Stones particularly. There's no reason why I should have, quite honestly. So I sent Andy a message. And Andy Cairney, he got back in touch with me, and which was a pleasant surprise, really. And he, I remember. The first thing he wanted to know was it a fair? And I know what he meant by that, because again, in one of my earlier videos, I referred to the Stones as sort of being part of the Highland Games. I was trying to sort of steer away from kind of fairgroundy, so like a stall. It wasn't going to be like that. So obviously it's free. I've covered this in previous videos. Yeah, he got back in touch, and I said no, it's a Highland Games, and he was keen to come along. And he turned up, and Andy has a gym called OBS, which stands for Outcast Barbell Sanctuary, and it's in sort of Dunbarton, which is sort of near Glasgow. He's got a great gym. It's mainly geared up for, most of his gym members are competitive powerlifters, so they're phenomenally strong. There's probably a few bodybuilders in there as well, but sort of strength and power seem to be kind of the main thing that people are into there. And it's not one of these gyms where people will tell you off for making a noise, or you can shout and scream and lift to your heart's content, and you know, it's a fairly, there's a good atmosphere and it's quite raw. It doesn't feel like a commercial gym, and there's a very sort of strong family atmosphere at it. Anyway, Andy turned up at the Blackarian Rattree Highland Games in 2014, and he brought some gym members with him, some friends, and among them, well, actually there was two ones that I particularly remember. There was John Pollock, who those of you in the strongman world will know perfectly well who John Pollock is. You know, he's represented Scotland and on numerous occasions. And Thomas Graham, who was again a member at OBS at the time. So anyway, to cut a long story short, 2014 was actually really a bit of a disaster, because the maximum number of stones that were lifted that year was 7. I can't remember what the weather conditions were like. That might have had a bearing on it. I know that the SFN Expo at that time was kind of around the same time as the Blackarian Rattree Highland Games, sort of early September, and it is possible that they got burnt out competing in that, but for whatever reason it was just not to be that year, and yeah, it was a bit of a shame. So the next year in 2000, and I'm jumping a whole year here, and the whole sort of, you know, the chronological aspect of the Ardblair Stones, which is shocking, but I'm going to jump forwards a year to 2015, and there was a repeat performance. And what happened is that Andy again turned up with, now I must say that Andy Kenny has been great, because he's been a really good supporter of the Ardblair Stones, and a lot of his gym members have tackled the Ardblair Stones, and I mean, in fact, if you look at some of the videos, you'll see a lot of OBS T-shirts, and they're a good bunch, and yeah. So and Andy was quite instrumental in sort of plugging me into the wrong word, but introducing me to a lot of people in strongman, and I suppose by default with powerlifting, because that's kind of his main thing now. And he's always been a really big supporter, and yeah, I've really appreciated that. Going to 2015, Andy turned up again, so he must have enjoyed 2014, to be fair, and he brought John Pollock with him again, and Lewis McCluckie this time, and a guy called Dean Caldwell, who was a member of the gym, and yeah, they went for round 2. And this time, at last, John Pollock, he successfully loaded all 9 stones. So 2015, John Pollock loaded all 9 stones in a time of 58.55 seconds, and it was wonderful, and everybody went mad, and there was lots of photographs, and it was in the press, and unfortunately I only had photos at the time, because the Ardblair Stones was kind of in its infancy still, and I didn't really know much about social media or how it worked, or sort of the best way to do those things. So annoyingly, and to my lasting regret, I don't have film footage of that that historic moment. Somebody out there probably does. I don't. I do have photographs of it, but now obviously I've learnt to take still photographs of videos, which means you kind of get the best of both worlds. So yeah, that was kind of how the sort of the first man to sort of lift the stones came about. So anyway, what I would ask you to do if you enjoyed this video is, please could you like and subscribe to the Ardblair Stones YouTube channel. That would be very appreciated. And yeah, I'll start thinking about First Woman, and sort of chart the progress as to how the women, how that sort of came along, and the Stones, and kind of how things stand at the moment. Obviously, since John Pollock has lifted all 9, there has been faster times, but I just wanted to talk about the first person to hit that stone, and I will cover how the times got faster and faster in later videos. And the same with the women. The women's probably going to be more of a leap forward into the future, because yeah, last year there was a significant change, but I will discuss that on the next video. But again, please like and subscribe, and I will chat to you soon. Cheers, bye.